If you're not Jamaican or of Jamaican descent, stop talking about Sean Paul. Hey, yo. So this must have been a slow week for Twitter. Only reason why I'm saying that is because on my timeline, there's discourse about Sean Paul. So I was scrolling through and I saw this tweet, right? You can go ahead and pause and read it. All right. And from the moment I saw this tweet, there have been think pieces and back and forths about Sean Paul cosplaying as a Jamaican despite him being of Chinese and Jewish descent. And I'm genuinely surprised that this discourse has not found its way to TikTok yet. Give it some time. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about Sean Paul for a second. Because while a lot of us were shocked to find out that Sean Paul had no trace of Afro-Caribbean in his blood whatsoever, we didn't care. We didn't business. Because regardless of his ethnic background, Sean Paul is still Jamaican. And that's exactly where your think pieces need to start and end. Being a Jamaican, something that he didn't have to cosplay, Sean Paul was making Jamaican music, reggae, dancehall. One thing that a lot of people in this entire discourse about Sean Paul seem to either forget or don't even know about, a part of Jamaica's creed is out of many, one people. Like, yeah, Jamaica is a predominantly black country, but all within the island, there are still multiple types of Jamaicans. There are white Jamaicans, there are Chinese Jamaican, there are Japanese Jamaican, there are Indian Jamaican. Out of many, one people. And this discourse on Twitter is trying to paint him to be some type of infiltrator, which is kind of funny because that is the title of one of his songs. In order to infiltrate something, you have to be an outsider yourself. I'll give you an example. Meet Snow, and this is no disrespect to Snow at all. Snow is a white Canadian who has no drop of Jamaican blood in him whatsoever, yet he made Jamaican music in the 90s. By that synopsis alone, Snow is an infiltrator because he was an outsider. And even then, it's still kind of interesting because Snow himself is kind of like Eminem in the sense that, like, he grew up appreciating and identifying with the culture, so much so that he wanted to express himself and his talents within the culture. And to this day, he still continues to celebrate and appreciate Jamaican culture and Jamaican music. The same thing goes for DJ Khaled, which is even funnier because he's an infiltrator on both fronts. He himself is not Black American, but he exists in hip hop, which is a Black American culture and Black American genre of music. Moreover, DJ Khaled is not Jamaican, yet he finds himself always celebrating and appreciating Jamaican culture and Jamaican music, and he works with a lot of monumental artists within Jamaican music. Sean Paul is not Post Malone or Miley Cyrus, who were outsiders to hip-hop culture and infiltrated hip-hop culture for their own personal gain. Within this conversation, in this discourse around Sean Paul, I think there's an argument that somebody's trying to make, but they're not fully articulating themselves well. So I'll speak to that argument. It's the argument that Sean Paul, at the height of his career, despite him not being a Black Jamaican, was the face of dancehall music, which is a predominantly Black genre of music. And on one hand, I can kind of see that argument given the fact that, you know, Sean Paul's music was safe. It was palatable. Sean Paul's music wasn't extremely hardcore like some of his counterparts within the genre. And dancehall kind of needed a bit of a facelift after what happened in the early 90s with the controversy with Shabba Ranks and Buju Banton and the homophobia. I'll say it, the homophobia. And while it's easy to say that Sean Paul was able to benefit the most because of, at the very least, his skin complexion, I hate to break it to you, but Sean Paul wasn't the only one out here when dancehall was at the height of its popularity in the mainstream. Shaggy was performing for Michael Jackson. Elephant Man was collaborating with Lil Jon and locking down BET. Beanie Man was making songs with Janet Jackson and Maya. Bounty Killer was performing at the Super Bowl with No Doubt. Lady Saw was featured on multiple tracks on Steven Seagal's debut album. Yes, that is a real sentence, and I actually did a video about it a while back.
On the body, if you make me feel nice. Why? Tell me what you really want all night.
You want the bananas if you make me nice. Me love the way you walk, sometimes the way you talk is so hot.
Dancehall was crossing over into the mainstream well before Sean Paul, even amidst the controversy. Is it a conversation worth having that Sean Paul maybe benefited more because of his skin complexion? Yeah, I mean, Mr. Vegas was making the same type of music and he never reached the heights that Sean Paul did. But if you want to have that conversation, you can have that conversation without trying to make it seem like Sean Paul was pretending to be somebody he wasn't. He was never cosplaying as a Jamaican. He himself was Jamaican.